My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Widows of Justice. And this movie is about a man who loses his wife, and with the help of a few other people, the man goes on a quest for revenge. And if you hear that premise and you're like, yes, Mads Mikkelsen in his own Taken-like movie, he's gonna kick so much ass, then this might not be the movie for you, because this movie is definitely not that. That's not to say there's not action present in this movie, but instead it focuses much more on the human aspect of it, and in that this movie vastly succeeds. What I love about this movie is how it criticizes when you're so enraged and you just don't know what to do, and how you just need to cope with your emotions. And that this movie has a lot to say. It portrays grief in a very realistic way, and it also deals with the coincidences of life. How when you break life down to stats, how the fact that anything happens ever is as small of a percentage as you can get, and how there's a disadvantage to looking at life through that way. I don't want to get into that angle, but I do think it really freshens this movie up. Right when I thought I had this movie figured out, it pulls a curveball and it does something I didn't expect it to do. And at first I'm like, how do I feel about that? But the more I think about it, the more it definitely works for me. I think this movie has a lot to say on human connection and life and the randomness of it all, and how we just need to cope with it and focus on the connections we have. Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic in this movie. He is such a great actor. He's great in Casino Royale. He deserved an Oscar nomination for The Hunt. He's great in Hannibal. The guy's a fantastic actor and he's fantastic here. I actually met him once. A super nice guy. I asked him the dumbest question ever, so every time I look back on meeting him, I just look back with embarrassment because, boy, I asked him a really dumb question that I'll never not regret. The rest of the cast does a good job too. The movie's well directed. This movie also has some comedic elements to it, and those didn't work for me as much as the other stuff going on in this movie. It's not to say the movie's unfunny, but I didn't really laugh. I was just watching, I'm like, okay, that's amusing, but never was I like, no, I didn't laugh like that once. And even though this movie isn't focused on the action as much as you'd think it would be, this movie still has great sound design during those action moments. The way that the guns sound, it sounds really realistic. I actually shot my first gun a few months back, and I wasn't prepared for how loud it was. I'm just like, oh wow, that is very loud. And when I was watching this movie, I'm watching in the middle of the night. I've got my landlords upstairs, and I'm just like, ooh, I better tone it down. But they definitely capture the real life sound of a gun. So the movie does a good job at that. The movie takes risks. It's not as simple as you'd think it would be. And this movie also got some genuine heart to it. By the end, I was surprised by how moved I was. I don't know how often I'll revisit this movie. As good as it is, it's not really a movie that I feel like I'll go back to rewatching a bunch of times. There's definitely lots of substance here, but I don't know if I'm going to get much more out of it the more I watch it. I think it does a good job at what it's trying to do. I think it's smart. I think it's heartfelt, the performances are great, it's well directed, but it's not a movie that I'm going to be like, oh, it's one of my favorite movies ever. It's a movie I respect, it's a movie I really enjoyed, but it's not a movie I loved. So I'm going to go ahead and give Widows of Justice a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Widows of Justice? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.